Well, hello, and welcome back to If It Were Up to Us, the podcast where we have zero authority, no filter, and more Disney ideas than anyone asked for. I am your host, Chrissy, and this is my co-host, Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing tonight?
Hey, hey! I'm tired.
Yeah, these
I haven't
late
yawned
night
yet.
ones, like they're killing me. I love doing this, and I love being able to do this like live, but oh man, the staying up is getting to me for sure.
Yes. We only have maybe 1.5 months of doing it like this. Maybe.
I know, fingers crossed. We actually do
Yeah.
have an update on the new Gockley household. Or house, I guess. The Gockley household shifting, whatever. Our schedule is shifting. We're moving. We're building a house, and it is going to be ready at the end of next month.
It's so excited. I'm
Yes,
happy
I
for
will
you.
have I will have an office so we can do this and not have to worry about my children having to be asleep before we get started. So I am very excited for that. Like beyond excited.
Me too.
I know, because it's a whole like hour ahead for you. So yes, I appreciate you accommodating me in my central time zone.
Darn you.
I know. I'm the worst. Um, so okay, you're tired, but that's how else are you?
Good. I'm actually good. I think I mentioned it. I don't know if I mentioned it in our last live or our pre-record. At this point I don't remember. But my work was sold.
Hmm.
Uh, Part of the closing was today and they didn't finish, so my life's been a little hectic. I sent Chrissy a picture of my desk. I have to have two separate computers to work for one
Hmm.
company and then work for the new one.
Hmm.
Uh, and I've been going back in the evenings just to make sure we stay caught up. I
Gotcha.
just don't become important at any workplace. Just
Yes.
don't.
Don't girl boss too hard. Yep. Hmm.
No.
I have
Uh,
been there, done that, and yeah. Hmm.
it just, yeah. But
Um,
good.
our live audience just abandoned us. So he was like,
They're
I'm
like,
going to
no,
bed.
I'm
Peace.
done.
Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
It's probably my
You stay
mom.
up.
She's like, I don't want to listen
Um,
at work. I work with you.
right.
I don't blame her.
Goodness, goodness. Well, how was your Easter weekend?
Good. Very good. We actually had really nice weather.
Did you?
For Saturday, not on actual Easter.
Mm.
Saturday it was 80 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
And beautiful. Sunday it was 40 something.
Ooh.
But no, it was really good. It's just chill. How about
Well,
yours?
good. We also had pretty decent weather. It was a little bit chilly, for us on Sunday too. Like I know I was kind of regretting. We drove out to a friend's house that lives about an hour away, and I was regretting not having any kind of jacket for the kids for the hunt that we did there. My kids did like 3 or 4 Easter egg hunts this year. I feel like they had the one that they do at school, they had the one here at our house, and then the one at our friend's house. And by the end of it, I was thinking, how much sugar should we just give these children? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearly their buckets are still sitting behind me, but yeah, I was making mental notes to have the Easter Bunny bring less candy next year. So, um, yeah, these
Yeah,
kids were on a sugar high.
I told my, tell, this is not kid safe. So if
Mm-hmm.
kids in
Yep.
the room,
Yeah, if your kid's in
just
the room, get out of here.
exit. Um, I always tell my children that I have to like send either Santa a note or the Easter Bunny and like my approved things
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's so hard, especially when your kids get old enough and like they talk to other friends more about that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to like explain why some kids get a ton of gifts
Right.
from Santa and like so
Mm-hmm.
I made up this whole scenario about those imaginary figures that like I only let Santa get you one gift, and I tell the Easter Bunny to not get you anything big or only a little bit of candy. Like,
Yes. Uh-huh.
because,
Smart.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's wild.
Yeah. And if you want to hear more about this philosophy, go and listen to our Christmas episode from
Oh, yeah, that's
season
right. We
one
did
because
dive
we
into
did
that.
talk a lot about this. But I'm glad to know that you have also implemented this with other fictional beings.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like you kind of have to keep it
yeah.
across the board. And my daughter's like, I hope the Easter Bunny brings me a Barbie. I'm like, I don't think she'll do that. And she's like, well, maybe the Easter Bunny can talk to Santa and he can get
Huh.
her a Barbie. And I was like, so the Easter Bunny's a girl? And she's like, yeah. What else would it be? And I'm like, you know what? I agree. It's
Yep.
definitely a girl.
Definitely. I am for this 100%. Um, and I love that idea. Also, it's proven from the Santa Claus movies that all of the Easter Bunny,
Yes.
Cupid,
That's
they
what
all
I
know each other.
pictured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
So,
all
right
figured
on
it out.
track
I
with
mean,
their thought process. Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. So we got some Disney news. Literally that
We
dropped like an hour
today.
and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we said we weren't your breaking news source, but today we can be.
That's right. Yeah. So the Starlight Parade, which still, even after this, I feel like needs just a little something.
Yes.
Peter Pan and Wendy are like flying around
Yes.
on their float. Is that a new float completely?
No, it is the same float, and
Yeah.
I remember watching a Dapper Danielle video where she talked about it, and I don't know if it was some of the concept art that had them actually flying in the air or what it was, but she
Okay.
was talking about the structure of the float itself having that kind of curved arm, and that they would eventually do this, and they probably just didn't have some kind of safety something or other to kind of keep it that way. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were saying that it was um uh that was probably set up to do that way. So, yeah.
I'll have to see if I can look back at the concept art and just visualize that. But yeah, now we got that to work. Let's put some like walking characters out there. Like let's have some
Yes.
more
Mhm.
street walkers
Yes.
because that's what it's lacking.
Yeah, I agree. I think it needs some more of that. And I also think that they need to be more lit up. Like when I look at the walking characters over in Paint the Night in Disneyland, like you can see them. These ones it's almost like they just want you to see the light on them,
Mm-hmm.
which to me feels wrong. So, I'm just being honest.
Uh,
It's not right.
And I think was it yesterday that they announced Big Thunder Mountain will be reopening May 3rd finally after being closed
Yes.
for way too long.
So long.
But it's coming back with a lower height requirement.
Yes, 38 inches versus 40.
Which, okay, so I typed out my little thing, I was sharing it, I was like, oh, this is great for the kiddos, and then I went, but what if it's not as wild? I might be a little sad.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what part of the ride they took out, or part of the
Yes!
track they took out, that makes this less intense and
The
therefore
only thing
is
I was
safe.
thinking
I don't know.
is, you know how in Seven Dwarfs, they're more of like a seat and it's a singular
Mm-hmm.
bar that comes down for each person and actually like it can be adjusted. Big Thunder isn't like that. So if you have a tiny kiddo and a larger adult, that bar is really there's a big gap. So I'm wondering if
Yeah.
they changed
Oh,
the
the ride
trains.
vehicles?
Yeah, and made it so the kids have their own lap bar.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's either that or they really just toned down the whipping.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I hope not
I think
for
I
all
just
the
need to
kiddies
fly
don't
down
suffers out there.
and see.
I think that's ultimately what needs to happen. We were just discussing that we just need to go and
Yeah.
check it out
Test it
because
out.
Buzz Lightyear also open.
Yes. Finally, you can get a good ride photo.
Yes.
And I feel like you need to test it out to see if that's really the problem or if it's
Yeah,
just you.
maybe it's just me. Maybe I just look like an idiot on every interactive ride. I don't know.
You're just too focused.
That's the thing. That is probably very accurate because I know for a fact on Toy Story Mania. I am zoned in and just like, don't talk to me, don't, none of it. Just, yeah. So, maybe, but I was also seeing that Disney put out information about how to score higher as kind of like a
Yeah.
guide to this new ride, because they were saying like each one of the guns is a different color, and so it'll light up in that color when that gun registers with that target. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, and then they also put out tips about how to score higher and possibly get that galactic hero. um so that's kind of cool.
It is. Now I really want to go.
I know, me too.
That sucks.
Listen, if any of our listeners want to go, that would be good business for us, so that would be a good choice.
And then I need you to report back
Yep.
live. I'm just kidding.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So, could you, or, if you want to go and you want to go with your favorite podcast hosts, also let us know. Um, just saying. Um,
Your husband's
so,
not in the room anymore, is he?
no, he's not. So I can
Okay.
freely speak and launch terrible ideas for my financial
And
independence.
him not, yeah, give you dirty looks like that's not happening.
Yep. That's
Dream
exactly
world.
what's happening right now. I can say all the things because he's not listening. So, yeah. Um, I am very excited for this episode today. If we don't have any other Disney news, I don't think we do. No.
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
So I am really excited because this is where my little heart got happy. Um, doing a little bit of research and learning more Disney history than anyone asked me to learn. So we're deep diving in our first deep dive episode of season 2.
Woohoo!
I know, right? So yeah, we're deep diving the um, beloved attraction Journey into Imagination. And here's what you can expect about deep dive episodes. So I'm going to give you all the history that you never needed or wanted to know, with all of the random facts thrown in, and of course a random opinion from me and from Stephanie. And then after that, we're going to talk about how, like, what we like and what we don't like, and if it would have fit in our parks that we designed last season. So we'll kind of give a little bit of a what's it called, like a harp back or whatever. We're just gonna like throw it back to last season and talk a little bit about whether or not we would make a change now that we know a little bit more about these
Did
attractions or things.
did we put Figment in our park? I think we did, right?
We did. We left it
Okay, I
there.
was just
Uh-huh.
like, wait, I don't even remember. So
I know, right?
don't know.
Season 1 was so long ago. But yes, no, we did leave the Imagination Pavilion there. We did talk a little bit about it in season 1, as far as like what was there when it opened, and a little bit of how it changed, but we didn't go too far into it because we had big changes for the Land Pavilion. So we kind of left that as it stood in its current day situation. So, I have to ask, are you familiar with the original version of this pavilion and the attraction?
No, I'm not. I've only ridden it in its current state. And like I've heard some things, but I don't really remember
Yeah.
what it was like what I've heard. What was
Um,
that?
I thought that was your dog, but now I'm thinking it was the wind or something weird happening because
Maybe
you
it
looked
was him
up
and it
and
just
not down.
sounded weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. His eyes are rolled back into his.
Fun fact, my front door will make that noise because we have a storm door on it, and so if the wind hits
Oh
it
yeah.
just right, it'll just kind of like rattle back and forth. So that's what made me think wind, but maybe it was your dog. Okay, well, going back to, so I have to be honest, I know none of the versions of this attraction. And I'm the villain in this one because I have never ridden it ever.
It just
So
blows. It's literally a walk on always,
I
and
don't know.
it just blows. It blows my mind. I'm actually so annoyed at her. We were talking about this before we actually hit live that she did not somehow in our talks she had never brought up she had never ridden it, or I
Mm-hmm.
conveniently forgot. But I would have dragged her on it
Mm-hmm.
when we were there in November,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
I'm annoyed.
And I'm kind of sad that I didn't be like make it a point, because we made it a point to go to Animal Kingdom and ride the Flight of Passage, because I'd never done it. So, there's just, even really awesome travel agents still have not done everything in the park, and that's okay.
Nope.
Um, it's
We
just an
talk more about
example.
that in next week's episode.
Yes, we do. So I was gonna say, it's just another example of some of the information we gave out in next week's episode. Um, so that being said, though, I am interested. Like, if anybody is listening, definitely throw it into the comments about whether or not you have listened, or whether or not you have ridden any of these versions. But we're going to go through the rainbow tunnel of time travel and head all the way back to 1983 and beyond, and start our story where it actually begins on the West Coast. Now, no, none of that. I know this is story time, Stephanie, but don't you start getting tired on me.
I
Um,
can get a blanket. Hold on. I have a Christmas one right here. I'll
get
get
your
cozy.
blankie out.
It's my
I know,
bedtime
right?
story.
It's this. This is your bedtime story. I love it. So we are taking this all the way back to the 1970s over in Disneyland. While working on Big Thunder Mountain, one of the legendary Imagineers, Tony Baxter, was considering what to do with the rest of the former Nature's Wonderland area that kind of sat behind and next to where Big Thunder Mountain was going to go. And he proposed an area called Discovery Bay, which told the story of a land built by a young inventor named Jason Chandler, whose drilling machine would bring a man enough wealth to last 100 lifetimes. So this machine was going to drill to the core of Thunder Mountain and find all of that rich gold. Everyone laughed at his machine. Of course they did. And but when the mountain collapsed, it was this very machine that saved the other miners right before a massive earthquake shook the ground, opening the land beneath him and swallowing him and his machine whole. And while the town and the miners searched and dug for days, they never saw him or any gold ever again. Now, miraculously, the inventor survived, probably due to his amazing digging machine. And he found the gold within the mountain, and he would go on to use the gold to build Discovery Bay, where any inventor who ever had an odd idea been turned down by others could thrive in a technologically advanced, science fiction-y, Victorian era space. Okay, here's where I wish I could insert a bunch of photos for you here, because you have to think kind of like the steampunk dragon from Festival of Fantasy, right? Like that kind of vibe where it's like very kind of retro, but also kind of like funky and advanced. Kind of like, or if you have seen like the Nautilus submarine, that's the kind of vibe we were going for as far as like the look of this proposed land. And in fact, the land would have attractions based on the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie, and it was heavily inspired by the Jules Verne film Island at the Top of the World, which featured steampunky hot air balloons that Baxter proposed be a skyway-like attraction, taking guests from Discovery Bay to Fantasyland. Now, in my opinion, Baxter's most imaginative concept was a Victorian moving theater ride that would have a scientist called Professor Marvel, who happened to breed dragons, and his companion, a little green dragon, as hosts. And they would kind of take off in one of these steampunky hot air balloon ride type things, or like vehicles. Now, when Discovery Bay at Disneyland got scrapped, Baxter was asked to go and design the land pavilion at Epcot. And the pavilion, he proposed a building that would consist of 7 crystal-like buildings, um, and towers, which would feature different environments from around the world. He brought back the steampunky vibes in a proposed suspended dark ride that would take guests on a hot air balloon over the different habitats within the land pavilion before rising up into the largest crystal building and having a view of the walk-through habitats below. Now, the land had an original sponsor for this. It was a like lumber company. But when they backed out and Kraft took over, his designs were scrapped again because the focus from the pavilion changed from like Earth's natural resources and habitats to agriculture and food production, thus giving us attractions like Living with the Land. But like Walt, Baxter never gave up on an idea. So Kodak eventually signed on to become the sponsor of an unthemed pavilion located nearby the land with one requirement. It had to be imaginative. Baxter proposed reviving the moving theater ride from Discovery Bay, and the attraction would still include a professor of sorts named Dreamfinder and his green dragon, now named Figment, as hosts, but would focus on the importance of imagination through a world of fantasy with the hopes of inspiring guests to use their own imaginations. The ride would feature some of the steampunk era designs left over from Discovery Bay, and they even stuck a few hot air balloons and fireworks in as well. Dreamfinder would be a friendly bearded man, kind of resembling a young Santa Claus, right? And Figment would be a cute dragon that Dreamfinder had conjured up from his creativity. Here's where Kodak made one small request, though. Because its largest competitor had the color green in its like logo, they requested that this not be a green dragon, and instead what we ended up, our Figment that we know and love today, our little purple Figment, was born with his tiny wings, his little yellow eyes, and his tiny little horns on his head, right? The cute little lovable Figment that we all love today. The ride was going to have a unique Omnimover system in which 4 separate 4-car trains would move at different speeds kind of independently from each other. Each section of the ride, or like room of the ride, would focus on a different medium that imagination helps create. So art, theater, literature, music. Originally, the ride was supposed to have 2 steep drops to add in excitement and fog machines to give the illusion of floating on a cloud, but those were removed during the construction process, and I could not figure out why in my research, because that would have made this so cool. Yeah. When it opened, Journey into Imagination was a 13-minute long flight of fantasy along Dreamfinder and Figment in the in a like steampunky hot air balloon craft thing called the Dream Catcher. Guests would board the trains before encountering a projection of the flying Dreamcatcher, and then the vehicles would enter this really cool turntable, okay, where the vehicles would lock in, and the cars themselves would turn to the center and then move throughout. The thing that was interesting about this turntable is it wasn't a track that these like we see today in a lot of our Omnimover systems, where even if the ride vehicles do turn to the center, you're circling around a steady object. No, this turntable had 4 different theaters on it, and so when the rides there were 4 of these simultaneous scenes happening at the same time. So as one train would enter the turntable, it would lock in, and then the whole thing itself would move until you got to the next room, which was really kind of unique for the way that Omnimovers had moved in the past. They would during this scene, they would see an animatronic Dreamfinder. He would welcome guests by singing One Little Spark, written by the Sherman Brothers, and introducing Figment in a 3-minute long scene. So that's how long it took this turntable to turn until it got to all the way around to the other side and they went on their journey. So guests would exit the turntable into a Dreamport to deposit all of the ideas that Figment and Dreamfinder had created before moving into the various theme sections. In the art section, Dreamfinder and Figment used their imaginations to create works of art like murals and sculptures which were brightly lit and had changing colors. Next, they would encounter a more dark realm of literature in which Dreamfinder worked on a mystery novel, and before the journey got more lively in the performance space featuring Figment dressed in like a tux and Dreamfinder creating a light show. Guests would find the futuristic Figment hitchhiking as an astronaut in the science scene as he learned about the power of dreams. And in the final show scene, vehicles rotated around Figment, accompanied by videos of puppet versions of himself using his imagination in different ways, singing the chorus that we know and love of One Little Spark alone for the first time. Guests would then see Dreamfinder for the final time behind a camera, filming Figment, and inviting guests to use their imagination in ImageWorks, which was the post-show and very interactive like play space at the end and the other part of this pavilion, right? So the ImageWorks featured state-of-the-art technology for the time, where guests could enjoy a variety of things and interact with technology in a variety of ways. So one of these things included Dreamfinder's School of Drama, which allowed guests to star in a movie with Dreamfinder via pre-recorded film and blue screens. And here's one thing that I thought was really fun and interesting, because in these films, Dreamfinder was actually played by a young Imagineer named Joe Rohde.
Oh, weird.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? So, guests could also manipulate giant like kaleidoscopes, and they could draw on a screen, like draw pictures on a computer screen, which seems super like rudimentary at this point, but back then was like a really big deal. And then the most famous part of ImageWorks was the entrance to the sensor maze, which was the Rainbow Corridor. There's like a famous photo of Michael Jackson in this space and in this corridor, and it was really super cool looking. I would love a rainbow tunnel just like in general to reappear in Epcot that looks like this. So it was like an instantly popular attraction. Guests absolutely loved Journey into Imagination. And so when the attraction closed on October 10th of 1998, many guests were surprised because it was still one of the most popular attractions and pavilions. Now, that being said, it was no doubtably in need of an update and refurbishment, but the pavilion's sponsor could only provide, which was Kodak, remember, could only provide a fraction of Disney's requested costs for a new attraction in their pavilion. Not wanting to pay or make way for the competitor that we may have previously mentioned to take over as a sponsor, Kodak and Disney eventually agreed to a lower amount of funds and moved forward with a new attraction. Here's where they missed the mark. It was inspired by the neighboring Honey, I Shrunk the Audience attraction, and they named this new attraction Journey into Your Imagination. Here's the thing. Guests quickly noted that it was very obvious that they had a lack of funds and kind of half-assed this attraction. So while it was a complete overhaul and really was like a bad way to try to tie in something else that they could possibly like reuse or capitalize on, like the entire pavilion just looked like they had, well, like I said, half-assed it. So The previously decorated atrium with murals inspired by imagination were replaced with a queue involving the premise of an open house at the Imagination Institute, an extension of the plot from the neighboring Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. And in this new version, which I have to say I did, I watched because I've never been on any of these versions. I watched a lot of videos, and it felt like a fever dream of some really creepy, weirded out stuff happening. Like I was very concerned, and so not even factoring in that they half-assed this. Like it was also just a really weird concept. So in this new version of Journey into Your Imagination, we had the actor Eric Idle reprise his role as Dr. Nigel Channing in a series of kind of not quite funny video segments about the various labs that you would be touring in this Imagination Institute before telling you about their newest invention, the Imagination Scanner. So the attraction itself ended up being shortened from the 13-minute long experience to a 5-minute one. The iconic turntable scene became the loading platform, so they completely removed all of that from the ride itself, and Dreamfinder and Figment animatronics had been removed, with the exception of Figment appearing as an actual figment of Channing's imagination. And the catchy tune of One Little Spark was completely non-existent.
Wow.
So none of the things that made this a crowd favorite came back in this new version of the ride. In the 5 minutes of what did remain, like I said, it was really kind of weird. Guests would load into the vehicles and be taken into the scanner only to be told you have no imagination. So right off the bat, we're kind of getting insulted. And then you would embark on a series of experiments to engage your imagination. Guests would enter a dark room as they were asked to see what they hear before listening to a variety of sounds. And in the video, I heard classical music, and then it transitioned to traffic sounds. They were ushered past what looked like a filing cabinet storage room. Again, this is from me watching the videos of what it was. I could not figure out what was happening in these videos. So it was just a weird filing cabinet storage room, kind of old school 80s. Then you see a warped image of a hallway through a magnifying glass, and the narration is asking you if it's actually magnifying or if it's just your imagination. What? After that, a bunch of scenes that bend what you'd expect to make the point that things aren't always what they seem. And in one case, there was something it was something in a cage swinging on a bar. Couldn't figure it out. Is it a butterfly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I saw that in the new one, and I was so they must have reused that, but I couldn't see in the video itself, what was on the bar. I was that's really weird and creepy if, you're not seeing what you're supposed to be seeing. Anyways. So then guests are asked to let color take over as you see orange and red and orange lighted screens with fire truck sirens. And then it moves to a green and blue with jungle sounds. I wasn't quite sure what was supposed to be happening there. In one scene, in one scene, they pass through a tunnel of stars, right? And very similar to, I think, what is currently happening. There's a space where there's stars that start appearing on the walls. But then they're asked to test their ability to make connections. And it literally says, stare at them long enough and your imagination will take flight. You'll see as lines start forming constellations on the walls. And then guests pass by a mirror showing their reflection upside down as they're encouraged to look at the world from a different angle. And then the rest of it is kind of similar to where we see Figment, what I assume is Figment's house in the current version, on the ceiling. Mm-hmm. The only cool thing about this was they had some kind of I don't know, a dripping faucet that appeared to defy gravity, and that was the only cool thing that I got out of this. Anyways, so then finally guests go back through the scanner as they test off the charts, remarkably, after going through all these tests. Now you have all the imagination, and And that's when you hear the voice of Figment briefly before exiting. Now, as they exit, guests are encouraged to visit the interactive labs at ImageWorks What If Labs before the imagination disappears. Unfortunately, these new labs were just what Disney put in the space to occupy the gutted portions of the attraction, and they were less than innovative. So, like, mildly interactive, not really innovative, and guests could no longer visit the upstairs, like original ImageWorks, because the reduction in funds also prevented that space from being updated. And one of the sources that I was reading said that it was a code issue, that it had to be brought up to code, and they didn't have the funds to do that, so Disney just cut it off, never reopened it, which is so weird.
It is weird.
Right?
So I've been sharing things to our Facebook page as you've been talking, so
okay,
the visuals are kind of there.
Great. Yes. Awesome. I'm so glad you were doing that, because I was trying to figure out how I like slide that stuff in, and I'm a busy person. I did not have time to figure it out. So I'm glad that you did this, because I was like, I'm going to try my best to explain this, but
no, you're doing great.
So, thank you. I'm trying to paint a picture, okay? Using my imagination. So the new version of this attraction and the pavilion itself were highly criticized, and it eventually was honestly called Epcot's worst attraction. At the time, both then CEO Michael Eisner and Kodak were disappointed, and after only a year and a half of operation, it closed, and Disney attempted to restore some of the beloved OG elements. Only this time Disney would foot the bill directly. So they were given kind of a modest budget. And then the events of 9/11 happened, and tourism took a hit, so the budget dropped even further. The attraction did reopen after a 6-month refurb as Journey into Imagination with Figment. So we did bring back some of those characters in this new one, and this is, I think, the version that you see today, where Channing, they bring back Channing back to life to invite guests on a drive-through open house of the Imagination Institute. You're no longer insulted in the opening scene, where he actually welcomes you to the tour, where you will discover how the 5 senses influence your imagination. An animated Figment then pops up on the screen requesting to join, and Channing refuses before introducing him to guests. Channing doesn't want Figment out of his sight, and Figment capitalizes on the phrase and disappears, joining you on your tour. After that, the first stop tests hearing with sounds, and Figment pops up reminding guests to use your imagination, singing, and throughout the attraction we start hearing different versions, or I forgot what it's called, when different stands of One Little Spark, right? And so when you're in the sound room, it's all about sounds. When you're in the sight room, it's all about sights, all that good stuff. So Figment, here you're gonna, in the sight space, he tests your vision as he appears on a screen of a changing eye chart and bouncing around. And then in the scent room, you get a whiff of skunk before he completely derails your tour and turn things upside down with a tour of his own house on the ceiling. So you can see where the elements that they had in the previous version kind of stuck around for this one. And then finally, Channing says, well, if you can't beat them, join them. They launch into singing One Little Spark together, and you're encouraged to set your imagination free. Then Figment reminds you it's a blast, and the wall you were just looking at disappears into a show scene above the clouds with flying carpets and rainbows, and the starry space appears, seemingly changing the space over to the exit platform, where once again you're encouraged to visit the ImageWorks What If Labs. That space today now hosts the meet and greet for Figment and several interactive areas before becoming, shocker, a gift shop on your way out of the pavilion. So like I said, truth be told, I have never visited any of these versions. And I did watch multiple videos from the few videos I could find of like the whole POV from the 90s before it closed, and the trippy adventure where you're insulted about not having an imagination. Like I don't know where on paper they thought that was a good idea. I mean, the premise is like, oh, but like to be like, you have none, and then all of a sudden, oh, you have all the imagination, like whatever. Um, I just really couldn't get over the fact that the middle version of this attraction seemed like a trippy, a trip gone wrong, if you will. So, yeah.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Well, the rainbow tunnel, okay, of your
Mhm.
whole history thing is what stuck with me. So, while you were chatting, I was looking up some stuff, and that rainbow tunnel is still fully intact. So,
Mhm.
half of that upstairs is now DVC Lounge
Yes.
since like 2016.
Mhm.
But you can look through a vent up there and see the rainbow tunnel, and they still have like part of the light, like the sign above it, lit up. I
Mhm.
don't know if they do now. This was in 2016 that the video that I found is, but it's
Mhm.
like, what are we
Mhm.
doing?
Yeah, it's there. I also think there are versions of the animatronic that are um sorry, I just heard a weird sound come from one of my children's bedrooms. So that was weird. I was like, what? I think it was like a sneeze or a cough or something. Um anyways, I think some of the animatronics from the
Oh, it's
original
gone for good
are
now.
also in storage there, but oh, it's gone
That's
for good
crazy.
now?
Yeah, so I scrolled a little further, and
Mhm.
it's gone for good. But it's almost like, so the last video somebody has of it, I don't, these are probably not legal videos.
Oh yeah, they're like Urban
It's,
Explorer videos, yeah.
yeah, it's from May 2017. Uh,
Mhm.
they were stripping it down.
Mm.
How crazy. But,
Listen, I
okay,
just feel like this whole pavilion needs to revert back to its original idea and what it entailed because we need that in our lives.
remind me what the building was across from the land pavilion. You know, there were two big, very similar buildings, and it was all about like being creative and stuff.
Oh, the
What was
whole
it called?
Imagination Pavilion? Is that what you're
Yes.
talking about? Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like not
The
I don't
two
have any.
glass pyramids, like yeah, it's the I mean, it's the one that's still there today.
No, this one was housed in that half. I had to look at an old thing.
Oh, the circular
Old.
buildings, like where the new Encanto thing, or yes, yeah,
Yes.
yes is. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
What was
I
that
don't remember
called?
what that looked like.
I'm looking her up.
Creation. No, that's no. Creations. Um.
I just want an old map of Epcot. Why is this so difficult? I don't need to be on Etsy. I don't want to buy one.
I
What
need
the
this
heck was it
thing to
called?
get clear.
Okay. Uh,
It was Communicore East, Communicore West. Is this right? Am I?
yeah, but I
Oh,
remember there being all.
Horizons, and the Wonders of Life. No, that's Epcot and Universe
Yeah.
of Energy.
I
Journey
just
into
remember there being
Imagination. Yeah.
a ton of interactive stuff in this building. And I remember the first time I ever went to Epcot, so it was 2016,
Mhm.
uh, when you got into the park extra early to go to
Mhm.
dining at these restaurants.
Mhm.
I talked about this in one of our videos. That was like a hack to get into the park before it
Fort Park
opened even
opening.
for
Yeah.
early entry. And to get to Garden Grill, they actually funneled you through this building
Yes. Uh huh.
to get to the land pavilion. And there was a whole bunch of interactive stuff. And I remember for the festivals, there used to be like a little bar thing inside of there. And I think the first one we went to, there was like a neon party. This was during Flower and Garden. I
Mm.
wish I could find a map that actually explained this. It's gonna drive me nuts afterwards. Okay.
Well, if you find it, make sure to throw it into Facebook.
Yes. But anyways, I do not have an attachment to this purple dragon. I did not grow up going to Disney and Epcot, so I really don't care personally about him. And I think the meet and greet, it's creepy, and the head is way too small for the body. But I feel like when they removed this other building I'm talking about and cannot find the information for conveniently, it was Communicore West, and it had like robotics things, outreach,
Yes.
FutureCom.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When they took that out, they probably needed to take Figment out. Because I feel like it all comes together, and right now, he's just kind of like off on his own. Like, it just doesn't.
That's where I feel
doesn't
like
fit.
they need to bring back like ImageWorks and this idea, because the other thing that was also in that pavilion was a movie, and I forget what the premise of it was, but it was like, not unlike we see like Canada Far and Wide. It was one of those kind of things that also associated with this pavilion. And that, and also the fountains out front, like there were like some leaping fountains and stuff. They have gotten rid
Yeah.
of a lot of that stuff that just, and I think, especially now that you have Walt's Dreamer statue there, this could tie in really well with an update. I think
Yeah.
that, especially considering like there was, for me, the thing that stuck out was this idea that like Tony Baxter's original plan, he kept it in the back of his mind and was like, there will be a place for this. It's just not here or there type of thing. And I feel like that is very much a Walt Disney trait. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, like, I don't, Walt Disney doesn't give up on ideas. That's not anything he did. Did he table them for later or change them a little bit?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But he, like, that's his, like, weird, uncanny ability to just, like, believe in himself. And so you have this whole new space that's, like, dedicated to the dreamer in him and his statue there in Epcot. Why would you not, you know, bring in this vibe, or, bring some of this back, that element? I think if they were to bring it back as it was originally, it would feel very, very dated. But with the technology that you have now, you could very easily bring back the idea of Dreamfinder, the Dreamcatcher, and Figment now. Um, the other thing that kind of turns me off too is the vibe of Figment changed. So in the current day version, he seems like kind of like a crazy nuisance, and kind of a bother. And in the original one, he was very much like this childlike, imaginative sidekick. And so, um,
Yeah.
like I feel like he kind of can rub people the wrong way, especially maybe some overstimulated, outtouched moms who like don't necessarily want to go on an adventure with someone who doesn't listen. So, just saying. I feel like there's some room for improvement. But
Yes.
I think it could very easily be brought back and tied um, in its own unique way.
So my husband and I, we ride this pretty much every time we go. And when we were there last month, we rode it, and they could do just a few things that I don't think would cost very much money to
Mm-hmm.
kind of maybe spark people to like want to ride it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think it's worth the ride. It's decent enough that, it's getting you off your feet. It's
Yep.
not super stupid. Um, I don't think it's scary at all. People say it's creepy. The guy in the moon is a little weird, but like, it's fine. But I think I already said this in whatever episode I talked about my trip, that some of the rides at Disney on this last trip just really needed like cleaned
Mm-hmm.
up, and I was shocked by it looking like that after the typical refurb time.
Yeah.
And Figment was one of them, because the upside down house on the ceiling, they could absolutely advance that with some
Mm-hmm.
technology we have now. Make it a little more, what is it, kinetic when things are moving and stuff.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Uh, the scene where he does get the skunk smell, they should have it where, okay, you get a, you're maybe gonna get one of these 6 things. 3 good smells, 3 not so pleasant smells.
Right. Yeah.
And like it
It
changes every
changes
time you
every
ride
time.
it.
Yeah.
So you may
Yeah.
not, you either get a good one,
Mhm.
you get a bad one. It's
Mhm.
just kind of the luck of the draw because it's a slot machine. Like
Yeah.
he pulls the lever and it
That's a
spins
brilliant a brilliant idea.
it always comes up to skunk. They should change it so that maybe, because I mean, people literally try to ride Guardians all day long just to try to get all of the songs, and I feel like just little things like that might be enough and not cost very much money because I don't want them to do anything that keeps them from building all these lands they've promised us. So please don't waste a lot of time and
Yeah.
energy and money on
Yes.
Figment, but maybe do
Right.
something with it
Mhm. Mhm.
because, and I think across the board, the theme parks in Orlando, Universal and Disney could do this with a lot of their rides. A lot of them need updated, which they're starting to. I mean, we got it with Buzz.
Yeah.
Hopefully Big Thunder, because I know they were adding in some different elements that they talked about. They really just need to keep doing that. Like, you don't have to completely change Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure on every ride, or Country Musical Bear
Right.
Jamboree, and like you don't have to go that extreme. Just do some little things just to
Yeah.
fix it.
I completely agree, and I love that idea, especially with the slot machine. Like, you make a very, very good point there. So Disney, because we know you listen to this, definitely do that. But my thought process was, I wonder if they're just like they got a touch of the PTSD after how badly the first one went. And then they brought back just enough to like satisfy guests in that, like, now, okay, well, Figment's back, so I guess that's something. And now maybe they just don't dare touch it for fear of outrage. But I also was thinking, so sorry. But I also was thinking this could very easily become kind of like an Inside Out themed attraction.
Oh,
And
yeah.
with like emotions and all of
Going
that.
through
Like,
Riley's brain.
right, exactly. Like, and you using that IP for an imagination based attraction and pavilion could tie in really well.
Wait,
And I think
that's
it's a movie
such a
that
good
people
idea.
really enjoy. So,
Yeah,
and
they
I know
just
I did.
had Inside Out too, so I feel
Yeah.
like, yeah, absolutely, that would be great. Because, do people actually really like this dragon, or do they feel like they need to like the dragon? Do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
that's where I feel like there's a bit of this is where you have the hardcore Disney adults or people like me. Like, I have never ridden the ride and still really enjoy a little bit of Figment because of what he embodies in Disney lore. I also feel like it's something like the Orange Bird, where it's like Orange Bird is iconic, but how many people really recognize him for what he is or what he was? Which is a mascot for the Florida citrus growers when the parks were being built, and right after the parks were being built. Like, Orange Bird literally is represented on a Magic Kingdom Spirit jersey that just came out in a new collection.
Mm-hmm.
Have
I
you
mean,
ever seen Orange Bird in the park? No. Like, it's a Disney lore, it's a fandom. I think it's something that will remain relevant even if that character is not in an attraction anymore.
yeah, I feel like Orange Bird and Spike the Bee are our Duffies of
Yes.
the U.S. parks.
Yes.
Because, like, they really aren't. The community made them popular. And,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know. I just, like, flash back to whatever year that was with the crazy Figment popcorn bucket line. And it's, like, just demand. Like, it's like with Labubus. Everybody talked so much crap about how ugly these are, but then you see more and more, there's an actual term for this. More and more people buy them, then suddenly you're like, well, maybe I do need one. Okay, maybe I do need that purple dinosaur or dragon bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I do like the purple dragon. Like maybe I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just feel like
So what you're
crazy.
saying is you will never need the purple popcorn bucket
No,
dragony guy.
no.
Mm-mm.
My husband and I got off that Figment, I said, "Do you want to go meet him?" Because he was out and there was nobody in his line. Because guess what? That novelty, that excitement wore off.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I'm ever there, that man has
Mm-hmm.
no line anymore because people have already done it. They've shared about it. They got their 10 minutes of fame and moved on from this. So I that's why I think people just, it's one of those things like we pretend we actually like
Yeah.
it.
So in the comments, tell us, are we crazy? Do
Probably.
you like Figment? Do you know Figment? Do you want to know Figment? Like what are you thinking? Definitely let us know.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, if it were up to us in our rebuild, would we include Figment or Journey into Imagination in that park?
No. I like your Inside Out idea.
Okay.
Because especially Joy used to meet in that building before Figment took her spot. That's
Did she
where I
really?
met her. Hmm.
Oh,
So it
look at
would have
that,
worked
Disney. You
out
were
really.
already doing it.
Hmm. Yeah. And how cool would that of Rainbow Tunnel would have worked with all the memory
Right?
storage
Imagine the rainbow tunnel with like the balls of
and the
memories
gold
and
things
like,
holding them in?
yes, yes. Come on now. Hello, Disney.
Absolutely.
We're
And I
here. We
think,
have
okay,
ideas.
expand on this building, make it indoor, and put some of those, like, whatever that little spinny balloon ride is at
Mm-hmm.
Pixar
Mm-hmm.
Pier that's
Mm-hmm.
Inside
Mm-hmm.
Out themed.
Yep.
Put a really cool indoor playground that's not these little dinky outdoor playground things. I'm sorry guys, my kids are not going to be entertained by those little outdoor playgrounds.
Mm-mm.
I see people are like, "Oh my god, I love Epcot because there's a little playground and get a drink." My kids, there's nothing there. What are you talking about? And the one inside Mission Spaces thing is better, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just yeah,
But it's
they're
also
really
so
cool.
far off of
Yeah,
the.
and I'm not riding that ride
Yeah.
on
No.
purpose.
Yeah.
We did when we had Premier Pass because money. You gotta
Yeah.
get your money's worth.
Yeah, you have to
But
at that point. I've ridden it once in my life and I will never do it again.
so
And it's
I've
not even
ridden
because
it
I got
twice.
sick. I just didn't love it.
Rode it twice. The first time I did Orange. This is the first time we ever went to Epcot. We're like, how bad could it be? Okay. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
It was way more intense than I thought it would be. Have you ever been to the Kennedy Space Center?
No, no. I've been to the one in Houston, but not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kennedy Space Center has what they call the closest ride to actually being blasted into space, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Mission Space is more intense, and I think astronauts even say that. Like they made a comment about how realistic, because it's basically a centrifuge when you ride
Yeah.
the Orange. So we're like, how bad could it be? Because we had done that twice. This
Yeah.
can't be that bad. Well,
Kind of.
I didn't love it. So the green side, I think the whole thing, and I'm not a claustrophobic person. That's the problem with that ride. It's just
Yeah,
everything.
you are locked in.
And you think, okay, once you get in, you're like, okay, this is fine. But then the whole thing drops closer to you, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're good.
Yeah, like
We're
I'm
good.
good. I'm good. Yes.
Okay, that was a tangent on a different ride, but
Well, I was gonna tangent off of your tangent and say I did see, like, I am not a mission space person. I did Space 220. That was really cool. One and done probably for me. But I did see the day of the rocket launch, because history
yeah,
making to the moon. That rocket launch was there were people that were gathered in front of Mission Space
yeah,
watching it. Like, that's so cool.
it is
So
so
cool.
cool.
So,
Very cool.
tangent off your tangent for that. But
Okay, so are you
anyways.
bringing Figment into our park?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Imagination Pavilion deserves a spot in our fictional park that we made up last season. And I think that I would love to see an inside out thing. I think even just the updates that you talked about would make it better. But I think that, like I said, it has so much potential to be something really cool and awesome that is needed in that park, but also ties into all the updates that they just did. So for me, it's a bring it on over.
Okay. Okay. What do we have coming up? Our really fun episode.
Yes, we have. We actually pre-recorded next week's episode this week, so you guys can give that a listen. We're opening the door to us as travel agents, and these are our Planning Disney episodes where we kind of share some of that insight and knowledge and experience with you guys. And in this episode, our very first one of Planning Disney, we are planning the perfect trip for first time Disney guests. So
Yes.
we kind of broke down everything from where, when, how, what to do, our top tips, and really shared all the things that we share with our clients. So if you're interested in hearing about that, hit up YouTube and Apple Podcasts next week on
Yes.
Thursday when that goes live.
Yeah. So if it were up to us,
Well, you'll just have to listen.